3 years after I died, I watched 3 college students chase my dog across a parking lot while Sonny clamped a stolen hot latte between his teeth. He wasn't trying to drink it. He was fighting to get that cup to me, 6 feet underground. Welcome to Revenge Cookies. Tonight, a woman who has been dead for 3 years returns to the living for one day, only to discover that the only creature still faithfully bringing her gifts to the grave is the dog her ex-fiancé threw away. She came back to find answers. She stayed to keep a promise. 10 minutes earlier, I'd still thought Ethan was the one sending me all those things. Apparently, the dead get deliveries too. It just works a little differently than it does for the living. At the way station, there was a row of dusty metal lockers. If someone alive left something at your grave or beneath a memorial tree, or even touched an object while missing you badly enough, a faint echo of that object might appear here. During my first year dead, my locker often held fresh lilies, clean scarves, and cards Ethan had written on. There were fewer the second year. By the third, the deliveries suddenly picked up again, except they were getting stranger. A pilled pink hoodie, a cold takeout container, 2 beef sticks with the wrappers torn open, an old tennis ball covered in bite marks. Vivian held the ball between 2 fingers, like she was examining evidence from a crime scene. You are sure Ethan is still alive? I snatched the ball back, of course. Then he is either broke, or he has started letting a dog choose your memorial gifts. The women around us cracked up. I laughed too, but my fingers kept rubbing the cuff of the pink hoodie. A short yellow hair was stuck to it. Sonny was yellow. When Ethan and I brought him home from the shelter, he'd been pressed into the very back of his kennel. His intake sheet read, anxious, hard to place. I stared at those words for a long time. I'd seen almost the same language in my foster care records as a kid, difficult to settle. Doesn't bond easily. I crouched right there and slipped my hand through the kennel door. Sonny didn't lick me. He just pressed his nose to my knuckles and stayed there for a few seconds. This one, I said. Ethan was crouched beside me. He hasn't even looked at me. That is because he has good taste. Ethan laughed and paid the adoption fee. Later, Sonny ended up loving him best, traitor. I pinched the yellow hair between my fingers, and suddenly I couldn't laugh anymore. I want to go back and look. The smile faded from Vivian's face. Mara. Just for one day. How long did it take you to save enough time for one day among the living? Long enough. It wasn't. I emptied every point I'd earned over the last 6 months sorting echo packages, running errands at registration, and helping newly dead arrivals find beds. I still had to borrow some from Vivian. A few hours later, I was standing in front of my own headstone. The wind passed straight through me. I couldn't feel a thing. There was nothing beside the grave, so I went to the house first. The front door was still dark blue. The warped board on the right side of the porch was still crooked. Ethan had always said he'd fix it over the weekend. He hadn't fixed it the weekend before I died either. I reached for the doorknob. My hand went through it. I froze for a second, then walked straight through the door. The living room was brighter than I remembered. New couch, new curtains. The photo of Ethan and me by the lake was gone. In its place hung a wedding portrait. Ethan wore a dark suit, one hand resting at the waist of a blonde woman. She leaned into his shoulder. They both looked genuinely happy. I stood in front of the picture. The first thing I noticed was his cufflinks. I'd bought those cufflinks. I'd bought them for him to wear at our wedding. Footsteps came from the kitchen. Ethan, Milo shoved another toy under the couch. The woman walked out, carrying a cream-colored puppy. Ethan followed with his shirt sleeves rolled up. I lifted my hand. He used to roll his sleeves exactly like that when he bathed Sonny. The puppy jumped out of the woman's arms and bounced over to Ethan. He bent down and scratched behind its ears, his whole expression softening. I stared at his hand. That had been Sonny's favorite spot. Where is Sonny? No one answered. I turned and started searching. No dog bed in the living room. No spare leash in the laundry room. Under the kitchen sink, where I'd kept Sonny's blue food bowl, there was now a stainless steel bowl engraved Milo. I opened the pantry, a brand of dog food I'd never seen. I shut the door. It didn't close the first time. I pushed it again. Where is Sonny? I raised my voice. Of course, no one could hear me. The woman sat down on the couch and asked casually, "Are you going to the cemetery after work today?" Ethan's hand paused. Number. I am not telling you not to go. She adjusted Milo's collar without looking up. It has just been 3 years. Lauren. Okay. I won't say anything. She was quiet for a few seconds, then glanced toward the front door. At least that yellow dog finally stopped coming back. Last year he lay on the porch every day. Every time I opened the door, he'd bark at me. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood in the kitchen doorway. Ethan didn't argue. Lauren went on. You sent him away twice, and he still found his way back. I still don't know how he kept finding this place. I walked right up to Ethan. You gave Sonny away? His eyes passed through me and settled on the television. You promised me. I grabbed for his collar. My arm went straight through his chest. Ethan shivered and rubbed the back of his neck. I backed away, one step at a time, until I was outside. Then I ran. Every strange echo package from the last few months flipped through my mind. The yellow hair on the old hoodie, the open beef sticks, the college district sticker on the takeout box, that beat-up tennis ball. Sonny loved balls. I headed for the university neighborhood. The parking lots were crowded. I searched behind restaurants, around dorms, and near bus stops for almost 2 hours. Then someone shouted, "That dog again." I spun around. Sonny shot out from behind a parked car. I almost didn't recognize him. He'd lost weight. His coat was tangled, and he hesitated slightly whenever his left hind leg hit the ground, but that pale tuft at the tip of his tail was still there. A hot latte was clenched in his mouth. 3 students were chasing him. Hey, drop it. Sonny couldn't run very fast. The lid had come loose, and coffee splashed onto his nose. He only bit down harder. I rushed toward him. Sonny. He ran straight through me, and in that instant, I heard a faint, breathless voice. Can't drop it. I whipped around. Sonny was still running. The words came muffled around the cup in his mouth. Mom used to get one every year. My feet stopped moving. Mom's underground. She'll be cold. By the time I caught up with him, half the latte had spilled out. A guy blocked his path and reached for the cup. Sonny shrank back, pinning the cardboard tray beneath his front paws, a low whine rumbling in his throat. Don't scare him, a girl beside the guy said, pulling him back. He is not even drinking it. Do you know how many of these he has stolen this month? I'll pay you. She pulled out her phone. Seriously. Just stop chasing him. While they argued, Sonny grabbed the cup and slipped between 2 cars. I followed. Sonny, stop. He couldn't hear me. Mom doesn't drink those anymore. He kept going. Onsi left the university area. He didn't go looking for food. He followed a familiar route down a quiet road. There was a small church along the way, and behind it was the cemetery. I already knew where he was going, but every step somehow got harder. Sonny squeezed through a gap in the fence. He ran to my headstone and gently set the latte down. The cup tilted. He immediately nudged it upright with his nose. They have pumpkin today. Sonny lay down and panted for a while. Mom always said this one was too sweet. She still bought it every year. I crouched in front of him. I am right here. He licked the coffee from his nose. I reached out to touch his head. My palm passed through him. Sonny's ear twitched. He lifted his head and looked around. I stopped breathing. Sonny. He stared at the place where I was standing for several seconds. His tail brushed the grass once, very softly. Then he lowered his head again. My hand hovered over his ear. I couldn't feel a thing, after resting. Sonny got back up and headed out. I thought he was finally going to find something to eat for himself. Instead, he went to a donation bin behind a grocery store near campus. Some unknown had stuffed it too full, and a gray hoodie had fallen onto the ground. Sonny sniffed it and picked it up. This one's thick. He dragged the hoodie, which was longer than his whole body, all the way back. Mom gets cold at night. I followed him in silence. There was already a little pile beside my grave. The groundskeepers had cleared it away several times, but it always came back. Plastic takeout containers, crumpled paper bags, a worn scarf, an unopened cookie. I recognized the pink hoodie. I recognized the 2 beef sticks. The old tennis ball was there too. Every single thing I'd received at the way station had come from here. Sonny spread the gray hoodie beneath my headstone and stepped on it twice with his front paws. Now Mom can wear it when she comes out. His stomach growled. Sonny looked down at his belly. Quiet. Tears spilled out of my eyes, and somehow I almost laughed too. Did you just tell your stomach to shut up? Naturally, He ignored me. He dug around a nearby trash can and eventually dragged out half a crushed sandwich. The lettuce had gone yellow. Sonny sniffed it and started to take a bite, then stopped. He tore open the wrapper and picked out a small piece of chicken that hadn't touched the sauce. He carried the chicken to my headstone. Then he ate the bread and wilted lettuce himself. The good part is for Mom, Sonny. I dropped to my knees. You eat it. Do you hear me? Eat it. He licked his lips and nudged the piece of chicken closer to the stone. 2 stray dogs trotted over from farther down the path. One was black and white. The other had a small notch missing from one ear. The black and white dog caught the smell of chicken and stepped closer. Sonny immediately got up and blocked him. Not this one. You weren't eating it anyway. It is Mom's. When is your mom coming to eat? Sonny hesitated. Tonight, the dog with the notched ear lay down. You are lying to dogs again. I am not. Sonny's ears shot up, sleeping. When you are sleeping underground, that is called dead. Sonny stared at him. You are annoying. I am telling you the truth. Now you are even more annoying. I covered my mouth while tears ran through my fingers. The black and white dog asked, What about your old dad? Sonny's tail slowly dropped. He has a new home. Weren't you part of his home? Sonny said nothing. The notched ear dog asked, Were you bad? Sonny lowered his head and licked one front paw. I used to be very good. Then why didn't he want you? Sonny stayed quiet for a long time. I moved closer. Finally, he said, very softly, Maybe I missed Mom too much. My hands clenched against my knees, except I couldn't even feel my own body. He kept talking. Lauren said Dad got sad whenever he looked at me. She said I waited by the door every day and made the house feel like someone had died. But someone did die. The black and white dog didn't say anything after that. Sonny lay down beside my headstone again. After a while, he rested his chin on the gray hoodie. Mom, I sat beside him. Yay? Nobody pet me today. I laid my hand over the place where his back should have been beneath my palm. I am. A girl gave me water. That is good. I didn't finish it. Why not? Saved some for you. I closed my eyes. Sonny suddenly lifted his head again. Mom, when are you going to wake up? My shoulders started shaking. I am awake. I smell a little bad lately. You don't. You used to say I smelled bad and give me baths. Sonny, will you come back and give me a bath? I bent down until my forehead rested where his forehead should have been. I couldn't touch him. Yes, if you come back, I'll stop stealing things. I'll be very good. You've always been good. Sonny looked exhausted. His eyes slowly drifted shut. The setting sun stretched across the side of my headstone. My 1 day from the way station had started counting down. My arms were already turning transparent. I stood up. Number that familiar pull tugged at the air around me. I am not done. Sonny was asleep. Wait. The world drained of color. The last thing I saw was Sonny curled beside my grave on an empty stomach, one paw still resting over the piece of chicken he'd saved for me. The next second, I crashed onto the floor of the way station. Vivian and several other women crowded around me. Did you see Ethan? I pushed myself upright. Tell me how to go back. Vivian's face changed. I grabbed her wrist. Not for 1 day. I want to go back for real. She stared at me without speaking. Sonny is sleeping in a cemetery tonight, I said. I can't wait for another lifetime. Vivian didn't try to talk me out of it as she led me to the farthest door in the way station. There was no fire behind it. No judgment bench. Just an old counter. The person behind it opened my file. Your next life was supposed to be easy. I didn't move. A complete family. Good health. Stability. A long life. Sonny is sleeping outside tonight. The clerk looked up. I said it again. He is sleeping outside tonight. Vivian suddenly turned her face away. The clerk slid a thin sheet of paper toward me. You can trade your next life for 1 chance to return. You'll enter a life that has just ended. After that, no one can promise you'll ever make it back here. Where is the pen? You are not going to read the rest. I understand the first line. I signed Mara Bennett. The edges of the paper slowly turned black. Vivian finally spoke. Mara. I looked back. She took the thin chain from around her neck and pressed it into my hand. "If you really make it back, check on my parents for me." I closed my fist around the chain. "I will. And one more thing," she sniffed. "Don't come back to life and immediately go looking for a man." For the first time that day, I laughed out loud. Don't worry. The floor vanished beneath me. I fell. When I opened my eyes again, white ceiling lights blazed overhead. Simone was shouting, "Nora, can you hear me?" Something was pressing hard against my chest. I sat up so fast the nurse beside me jumped. "Easy. You collapsed in the parking garage. Your heart stopped for a short time." "Who is Nora?" Several people exchanged looks. I looked down. These weren't my hands. The nails were cut short, and there was an old scar along the base of the thumb. A clear plastic belongings bag sat beside the bed with a phone and an ID inside. Nora Bennett. I stared at the last name. No time. I peeled the monitoring patches off the back of my hand. "Ma'am, you need to stay here. My dog is outside." "Your what?" "My dog." Half an hour later, I was running out a side door in gray hospital socks. Simone chased after me, calling out, but I'd already climbed into a cab. I handed the driver the last cash in Nora's wallet. "The University District. Please hurry." I didn't even stop to buy shoes. The bottoms of my socks were soaked within minutes. The cars in yesterday's parking lot had changed. The restaurants were opening for the day. I searched around dumpsters, bus stops, and the cemetery. Sunny. Nothing. I ran to my grave. The gray hoodie was still there. The chicken was gone. An empty paper cup sat beside it. Sunny. A trash bin rattled behind me. I turned. A yellow head slowly appeared from behind it. The moment Sunny saw me, he backed away. I stopped dead. "Hey," his tail tucked between his legs. "Sunny." He took another step back. I crouched slowly. "It is me." He stared at the stranger's face. "I know." I started to reach out, then pulled my hand back. "You don't recognize me." Sunny turned to leave. I lifted 2 fingers and curled them twice in the air. It was a stupid little game we used to play. Whenever I bent 2 fingers like that, Sunny was supposed to put both front paws into my hands. Ethan had tried for half a month and never gotten it right. Because every time he did the gesture, Sunny just looked away. The yellow back in front of me went rigid. I curled my fingers again. Sunny slowly turned around. He stared at my hand. His ears rose, little by little. "Mom." My nose burned. "Yeah." He didn't run to me. First, 1 step forward. Then he stopped. Another step. His nose touched the back of my hand. This time, I felt him. A warm nose, rough fur. My hands shook so badly, I could barely hold on. Sunny suddenly launched himself into my arms. I fell straight onto the ground. He planted both front paws on my shoulders and frantically sniffed my neck, my hair, my clothes. "That is not your face." "Number, not your hands either." "Number, you don't smell quite right." "Then how do you know it is me?" Sunny shoved his head hard into the side of my neck. "You are Mom." I wrapped both arms around him. When my hand found his ribs, I froze. Sunny started licking my chin. "Mom, why did you take so long? It was a long trip. You overslept. I am sorry. Don't do it again." "Okay." Then he pushed away just enough to stare at me seriously. "Bath." I blinked. "What? You promised you'd come back and give me a bath." I laughed so hard I cried again. "Come on." Our first stop was a veterinary clinic. The receptionist refused to let me stand barefoot in the lobby in wet socks, so an assistant found me a pair of disposable shoe covers. When the veterinarian Caleb Reed walked in, he stared at me for 3 full seconds. "Did you escape from a hospital?" I looked down at the patient wristband still on my arm, temporarily stepped out. "That is called escaping." Sunny looked up at him. "I don't like this guy." I fought back a laugh. Caleb crouched to examine Sunny's back leg. "Does he always glare at people like this?" "Only people he doesn't trust." Caleb glanced up. "I am honored," Sunny's expression said. "Good, he understands his place." The exam results were better than I'd feared. Malnourished, an old sprain, some skin irritation, no serious internal injuries. While Caleb wrote out the care instructions, I kept rubbing Sunny's ears. Sunny kept staring at the treat jar on the counter. "Stop looking at it." I told him. Caleb slid the jar a little closer. He can have one extra today. Sonny immediately revised his opinion. This guy can stay under consideration. I laughed. Caleb looked at me. Were you just talking to him? Yeah. Did he answer? I picked Sonny up. He says you barely passed that night. I used what was left in Nora's bank account to rent a tiny apartment by the week. The bathroom was barely big enough for one person. Sonny braced all 4 paws against the sides of the tub. I regret asking you to come back. Too late. I forgave you for dying. Don't push it. Close your eyes. He shook his whole body. Water sprayed straight into my face. I froze for 2 seconds. Sonny froze too. I grabbed the shower head. He spun around and tried to escape. By the time we were done, the bathroom looked like it had survived a flood. I sat on the floor, laughing for a long time. Sonny curled up across my legs. Clean again. His coat finally looked a little fluffy. He fell asleep almost immediately. I looked down at him. My phone buzzed. A text had come to Nora's number from someone I didn't know. Please contact the community office tomorrow morning regarding a complaint involving the dog from today's incident. A video was attached. In it, Sonny was barking at Lauren. Lauren stepped backward. At the end of the clip, Ethan rushed into frame. Sonny lifted his head from my lap. The second he saw Ethan on the screen, his whole body went rigid. Mom. Yeah, don't let Dad send me away again. After Sonny said that, he wouldn't go near my phone for the rest of the night. The next morning when I went to the community office, I left him at Caleb's clinic. He was not happy about it. You are leaving me too. I crouched down and fastened a temporary collar around his neck. 3 hours. Dad used to say he'd be right back too. My hands stopped. Caleb quietly held out a small strip of meat. I'll share my location with you, I told Sonny. Sonny stared at me. I held my phone in front of his nose. Video call every 30 minutes. 20. Deal. Caleb leaned against the doorframe. Are your negotiations always this specific? He is difficult. Sonny took the meat strip from Caleb. Mom is difficult too. Lauren was already at the community office when I arrived. She didn't look as polished as she had in the wedding photo. No makeup. Hair pulled back carelessly. Shadows under her eyes. She looked at the hospital band on my wrist first, then at the empty leash in my hand. Where is the dog? Somewhere safe. Her lips tightened. Ethan walked in. For the first time in 3 years, I sat across from him face to face. Yesterday, as a ghost, I'd seen him through something that felt like glass. Today, he was less than 6 feet away. A wedding ring sat on his right hand. His left thumb still rubbed the side of his index finger whenever he was nervous. He'd always done that. I watched for 2 seconds, then looked away. The manager played the video. Lauren got out of her car. Sonny saw her, froze, then ran toward her barking. Lauren lifted a folded umbrella in front of herself. I grabbed the leash. The video cut off there. He has always been like that, Lauren said. He is hostile toward me. Why? Because he never accepted me. A dog wouldn't know who you are unless he'd met you before. Lauren looked at Ethan. Ethan spoke. Sonny used to live with us. For how long? Years, and then... His jaw tightened. We found him another home. Which home? Ethan didn't answer right away. I took out my phone and started recording. Lauren noticed. What are you doing? Making sure I remember this clearly, the manager said. This isn't a legal proceeding. I know. I set the phone on the table. Which home? Ethan finally said. A friend's. Name. He ran away later. Name. Lauren cut in, unable to hold back anymore. Who are you? You found that dog a few days ago. Why are you questioning us like this? I turned to look at her. She was gripping the strap of her bag so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Then I noticed 2 faint old scratches on the inside of her wrist. They weren't from yesterday. Did he scratch you before? Lauren glanced down. Number, then what are those? I scraped myself moving boxes. Enough, Ethan said. His voice was low. I knew that tone. He used to sound exactly like that, right before he got truly angry while arguing with customer service or a mechanic. I looked at him. Where did you send Sonny? His eyes landed on my face. For a moment, he didn't speak. I had no idea how much Nora's face resembled mine, but he stared too long. Lauren looked at him first. Ethan. He dragged his eyes away. A farm. Name. It is closed now. Address. He stood. I'll send the information to the community office. I stood too. Did you ever see him after he ran back? Ethan stopped walking. Lauren answered for him. Of course we did. He came back a lot. I looked at her. It was as if she'd been holding all of this in for years and suddenly couldn't anymore. After I moved in, he slept outside your old bedroom door every night. She hesitated over the word your and corrected herself. Mara's old room. I didn't make Ethan throw away her things. I only wanted to box up the photos. Sonny would dig them out and carry them back into the living room. Lauren, Ethan said quietly. Why can't I say it? She turned on him. Every time you looked at that dog, you sat in the kitchen and stared at nothing. He scratched at the bedroom door at night, and you couldn't sleep. You said looking at him made you think about Mara's last day. My fingertips pressed into the edge of the table. Lauren's breathing came fast. I admit, I hated him. Not because he was ugly, not because he was a dog. I hated him because every day he reminded me that this house had belonged to another woman before I got there, and you had never really left that life behind. The room went silent. I looked at Ethan. He didn't deny it. So you made him send Sonny away? I asked. Lauren's eyes turned red. I told him to find a trainer. I told him to arrange foster care. I said we couldn't live like that forever. Who decided Sonny wasn't allowed to come home? Lauren turned her head. Ethan stood by the door. I did, he said. My fingers loosened from the edge of the table. No dramatic sound. No broken glass. I picked up my phone. Send me the information for that farm. What exactly are you planning to do? Find out why my dog spent so long sleeping near a college campus. Your dog. I looked at him. He is now. I didn't realize how hard I'd been clenching my hand until I stepped outside and saw the crescent-shaped nail marks in my palm. My phone rang right on time. Sonny's video call. Caleb pointed the camera at him. Sonny was wearing a soft blue recovery collar that squished his face into a round little circle. 22 minutes, he said. I leaned against the wall and laughed. Sorry, you are late. I'll buy you chicken. Forgiven. Caleb turned the camera back toward himself. He just showed your video to a golden retriever. What? I don't know why a dog would push a phone toward another dog, but he looked extremely proud of himself. When I got back to the clinic, Sonny rushed over and inspected me from head to toe. Caleb handed me a printed record. I checked his microchip while you were gone. Original registered owners: Mara Bennett, Ethan Cole. There had been one transfer request after that. The receiving party wasn't a farm. It was a private boarding and foster facility 40 minutes from the university district. The note read, owner surrender. 3 days later, dog escaped during transport. I stared at the line. He never even made it to the so-called farm. Caleb shook his head. And here is the interesting part. Only Ethan signed the transfer paperwork. I kept reading. At the bottom was a scanned email. The facility had notified Ethan that Sonny had escaped and appeared to be heading toward his old neighborhood. They recommended that he help with the search. The email showed as opened. Ethan had never replied. My phone buzzed again. Nora's cloud account had finished restoring. Dozens of photos began downloading. I'd only meant to search for identity documents. The first image that loaded was my face, a screenshot of the news report from my accident 3 years ago. The second was an old photo of me and Sonny outside the shelter. The third was a family record. 2 names had been circled in red. Mara Bennett. Nora Bennett. Same biological mother. I sat down. Sonny rested one paw on my knee. At the bottom of the phone was an unsent draft message. I think I found my sister. I don't know if she wants to be found. I stared at the words. Then another video finished downloading. The timestamp was from a rainy night 1 year earlier. In the doorbell camera footage, Sonny sat on the porch soaked through, a folded umbrella in his mouth. He waited a long time. At 1 a.m, Ethan got out of his car. Sonny ran toward him, tail wagging. Ethan crouched down. His hand lifted over Sonny's head. It stayed there for several seconds. Then he didn't touch him. He opened the door. Sonny stepped forward. Ethan stood in the doorway. Go, Sonny. Sonny didn't move. Please. His tail slowly stopped wagging. Ethan closed the door. I watched that rainy night video 3 times. Before I could start a 4th, Caleb reached over and turned my phone face down on the table. Enough. I looked up. Watching it again won't change what happened. Sonny lay by my shoes with his nose pressed against his front paws. I picked up the phone, but didn't play the video again. I need the full timeline. Caleb studied me for a moment, then investigated. Don't punish yourself with it. The next day, I took half a day off work. Nora's old job was still waiting for her. She was a data coordinator at an ordinary logistics company. Her supervisor knew she'd had a medical emergency and only asked when I expected to be back to normal. I said Monday. I needed money. I needed rent. I needed to buy Sonny actual dog food, because apparently coming back from the dead did not come with an unlimited credit card. Life hadn't suddenly gotten cheaper just because I died once. At 9 that morning, I went to the boarding facility. The manager pulled the old file. I remember this dog. Why? He escaped twice. She nodded. The first time Ethan brought Sonny in, Sonny dug under the fence the next day and ran all the way back to the old house. A week later, Ethan brought him back again. The second time, the facility arranged to transfer Sonny to a partner location farther away. He broke free while they were switching vehicles. We contacted the owner, she said. Did he come look for him? The manager went quiet. Number I left with copies of the records. Around noon, the girl who had paid for Sonny's stolen latte contacted me. Her name was Rachel. She sent me more than a dozen campus videos. Sonny stealing takeout. Students giving him water. In one clip, a guy deliberately lowered a food container to lure Sonny closer. Sonny sniffed it, didn't eat a bite, grabbed the whole thing, and ran, Rachel wrote. We started thinking it was weird. He was so skinny, but he never ate anything right there. So you followed him? Yeah. She sent one final video. The person filming followed Sonny all the way to the cemetery. Sonny placed the food container beside my headstone. The camera jerked. Someone behind it said, "Wait, that is his owner." Then nobody said another word. I saved the video. That afternoon, the cemetery groundskeeper showed me maintenance records from the previous few months. We cleaned it up a lot at first. He pointed to the photos. Old clothes, paper bags, snacks, tennis balls piled beside my headstone. Sonny was curled up asleep underneath them. Eventually, we stopped removing everything, the groundskeeper said. We took away food that would spoil, but we left the clothes for him. Why didn't you call animal rescue? We did. He wouldn't let anyone catch him. I opened another picture. It had been taken after a snowfall. Sonny lay in front of my grave with half a gray hoodie draped over his body. I stared for several seconds, then closed the photo. That night, Lauren posted a public video first. It wasn't an attack on me. She deleted the earlier community clip, then uploaded an audio recording she'd made while sitting in her car. She admitted she'd pushed Ethan to send Sonny away. She also admitted she hadn't made sure where Sonny ultimately ended up. She didn't cry or beg people to forgive her. She only said one thing. I wanted a home that felt like mine. I handled it badly. The dog paid for it. The comments began to change. I didn't share her post. Half an hour later, Rachel posted the cemetery video. Then another student posted one. Then the cemetery photos started circulating. Old clips of Sonny stealing food resurfaced. The comments on those videos used to call him things like aggressive dog and thief. Now everyone could see where he went every time he got something to eat. One comment rose to the top. He wasn't stealing dinner. He was bringing dinner home. I set my phone down. Sonny was busy shoving the new toy Caleb had given him under the couch. What are you doing? He pretended not to hear me. Sonny, it is safe here. I just paid for that. Exactly. That is why it needs to be hidden. I dropped to the floor and reached under the couch for the ball. Sonny threw his whole body across my arm. Give it back. Mom wastes things. The doorbell rang. Sonny was on his feet instantly. Ethan stood outside. He didn't come in. I didn't invite him. I saw the videos, he said. My hand stayed on the doorknob. Okay. Lauren is staying with her sister. I said nothing. Ethan pulled an old key from his pocket. For the house. I know. His eyes lifted. How would you know that? I looked at the key. We used to have matching key rings, his black and mine white. A corner had worn off his black one. It was still the same key ring. Why are you here? I can give you the things Mara left behind. You should have turned them over to the estate administrator 3 years ago. His expression changed. Nora. It was the first time I'd heard him say that name. You looked me up. You appeared out of nowhere, took Sonny, and knew things about Mara. I let go of the doorknob and folded my arms. So what did you find? You were sisters. Yes, she never told me. She didn't know. Sonny came out from behind my legs. Ethan saw him and crouched. Hey, Sunday. Sonny's ears twitched. My breath caught. He remembered that nickname. Ethan held out his hand. Sonny didn't back away. He didn't go closer either. He just stood there. I looked for you, Ethan said. Sonny stared at him. Liar. I looked down. Ethan continued. The first time you ran back, I took you to the facility again. The second time, when they said you'd escaped, I went out looking. Did you see him? I asked. He looked up. What? When you went looking, did you see him? Ethan didn't answer. I leaned against the doorframe. You did. His throat moved. Near the university. And then. He was with a few stray dogs, I called him. He didn't come. Sonny's head snapped up. I heard him. My hand fell to my side. Sonny stared at Ethan. I heard Dad call me that day. I was hiding behind a car. I was scared he'd send me away again. Ethan couldn't understand Sonny, so he kept talking. I thought he didn't want to come back with me. Did you walk over to him? Number. How long did you wait? I don't know. 10 minutes. He said nothing. 1 minute. Sonny pressed himself against my leg. I bent down and rubbed his head. Then Ethan asked, How do you know that hand signal? My hand stopped. What? Sonny only did that for Mara. The apartment went very quiet. I lifted 2 fingers, curled them gently. Sonny immediately put both front paws into my hands. The key slipped from Ethan's fingers and hit the porch with a sharp clink. I didn't move. The color slowly drained from his face. I lowered Sonny's paws back to the floor. The night you proposed, you dropped the ring between the couch cushions. You spent 20 minutes on the floor looking for it, and Sonny was the one who finally carried it out in his mouth. Ethan's lips parted. The first time you took Sonny to the emergency vet, you were so scared you forgot your shoes. You didn't notice until you got there that you were wearing 2 different socks. His eyes turned red. I paused. The night before my accident, you told me that if I went first, Sonny would never lose both of us. Ethan grabbed the doorframe. Who told you that? I looked at him. You know. He stepped toward me. Sonny moved in front of me. Ethan stopped. I bent down, picked up the old key, and placed it back in his palm. My attorney will contact you about the house. Wait. I closed the door. This time, the door actually shut under my hand. I don't know how long Ethan stayed outside. I didn't look through the peephole. Sonny lay by the door listening for a while. He is gone. Okay. Mom isn't going to look. Sonny turned around and studied me. You used to look. I picked up the ball he'd hidden under the table. You also used to not steal lattes. He lunged for it. Those were for you. I don't drink stolen coffee. Mom has a lot of rules. I tossed the ball. Sonny ran after it, but halfway across the room, his back leg faltered. My smile disappeared. The next day, Caleb examined him again. The old injury may flare up from time to time, he said. It'll improve once he gains more weight, but don't let him sprint too hard. Sonny lay on the exam table, staring at me. You hear that? I asked. Caleb put down his pen. What did he say this time? He says you talk too much. Caleb nodded. Then no treats today. Sonny sat up immediately. He makes an excellent point. I couldn't help laughing. Life began moving forward, one ordinary piece at a time. I went back to Nora's old job. During the first week, I got up at 7 every morning. Sonny sat outside the bathroom and watched me brush my teeth. The second I changed clothes, he brought me his leash. You are not coming to work with me. He placed the leash on top of my shoes. He lay down across the shoes, so I ended up leaving 40 minutes early every morning, just to walk him around the block first. The estate paperwork for the house dragged on for months. The attorney confirmed that Nora was Mara's only traceable adult biological relative. The house was still part of the estate. Ethan had continued paying the mortgage and maintenance expenses under the existing arrangement, but that had never made him the sole owner. In the end, I didn't move into it. I told the attorney to sell it through the proper process. Ethan had the right to buy it first. He chose not to. The day we signed the final papers, We sat across from each other at a long conference table. He looked thinner. Lauren wasn't there. I'd heard they'd lived separately for a long time before eventually ending the marriage quietly. She sent me one email. She didn't make excuses. She only forwarded old receipts from Sonny's medical care and boarding. The final line read, "I am sorry. I made him feel like grief was something he had to apologize for." I didn't reply. I didn't delete it either. After Ethan signed the last page, he asked, "Is he okay now?" "He is good. Still afraid of rain." "He was never afraid of rain." Ethan lowered his head and gave a small laugh. "Right. He just hated stepping in puddles." I gathered my documents. He called after me again. "Mara." I stopped for 1 second. It was the first time anyone had called me that since I came back. I didn't turn around. Ethan said, "I really did love you." My hand rested on the door handle. "I know." "And I really did love Sonny." I turned then. "I know." His eyes reddened. "Then why wasn't that enough?" I looked at him for several seconds. "Because loving someone once doesn't erase the fact that, in the end, you close the door." I walked out. I didn't go back. Selling the house did not make me rich overnight. After the remaining mortgage, estate expenses, and taxes were paid, there was enough left for me to buy a small house with a yard. The first time Sonny saw the yard, he ran around the fence 5 times. I caught him on lap 6. The vet said no hard running. This is fast walking. All 4 feet were off the ground. Advanced fast walking. Caleb gradually became the person who showed up most often. At first, he came to check on Sonny. Then he started dropping off dog food when the shelter was running short. After that, he began appearing on weekends with coffee. The first time Sonny realized Caleb had come empty-handed, he blocked the doorway and refused to let him in. He didn't bring anything. People are allowed to visit without gifts. Suspicious. Caleb waited outside for 2 minutes, went back to his car, and returned with a bag of chicken jerky. Sonny stepped aside. Much more trustworthy now. Caleb and I didn't suddenly fall in love. We volunteered at the shelter together. We helped reunite an old dog with his owner after he'd been missing for 2 months. We stayed up until 2 in the morning with a mixed breed dog recovering from surgery. One time Caleb reached for my hand, and Sonny immediately planted a paw on top of both of ours. Caleb looked down. "Is that a rejection, or is he joining us?" Sonny said, "Probation," I told Caleb. "He says you have 6 more months of review." Caleb nodded. "Still faster than mortgage approval." I laughed and didn't pull my hand away. I also kept the promises I'd made to a few people at the way station. Vivian's parents still lived in the same small town and ran a tiny flower shop. I didn't tell them I'd met their dead daughter. I only said I'd known Vivian. I placed her thin chain on the counter. The scissors slipped from her mother's hand and hit the floor. Her father sat very still for a long time before finally asking, "Is she okay?" I said, "She wanted you to know she is not alone." That was all. They held each other and cried. When I walked outside, Sonny was waiting in the car. "Are they waiting for their kid too?" "Yeah." "Then why doesn't their kid come back?" I rubbed his ear. "Some roads are longer than mine." He leaned against my shoulder and didn't ask anything else. Years later, Caleb and I took Sonny north on a trip. Tessa had always wanted to see the northern lights before she died. The snow was deep that night. Sonny was wearing an insulated vest. He absolutely hated. I look like a sausage. Mom is very rude. We stood by the lake for a long time. At last, green light slowly unfolded across the black sky. A man nearby suddenly started crying. He was holding an old notebook. The wind flipped it open. I saw the final line on one page. "See the northern lights together." There was a check mark beside it. Tessa's name was written inside the cover. I didn't go over and disturb him. I only took a picture of the aurora back at the hotel that night. Sonny lay beside the heater. I put the photo on the nightstand. "Simone finished it for her." With his eyes closed, Sonny said, "Because somebody remembered." I looked at him. He was already asleep. 10 years passed faster than I expected. The fur around Sonny's face slowly turned white. His hearing faded. His steps got slower. He couldn't jump down from the couch anymore. He would stand at the edge and wait for me to lift him. But every day when I opened the door after work, he still raised his head. His tail tapped the floor. "On says. Mom's home. On his last autumn afternoon, the sunlight in the yard was warm. I was sitting in a chair reading. Sonny walked over slowly and rested his head on my knee. I rubbed his ears. "Want some chicken?" He didn't open his eyes. "Number, that is a first." Sleepy, I closed my book. My hand stayed on his back. His breathing was slow, then slower. I didn't call Caleb. I didn't pick Sonny up. He hated being moved while he was sleeping. So I stayed right there. The sunlight slowly slipped away from the garden wall. Sonny moved his tail one last time. "Mom, I am here. This time, don't go first." "I won't." He fell asleep. I buried him beneath a maple tree. I didn't pile up a lot of things on his grave. I left only the old tennis ball he'd kept hidden for more than 10 years. Eventually, I grew old too. Caleb died a few years before I did. I was in my 80s when I closed my eyes, one ordinary winter night. When I opened them again, I was standing in the way station. The counter was still old. I looked down at my hands. They were Mara's hands. The clerk behind the counter opened my file. "You are cleared to move on to your next life." I stared. I traded that away years ago. It was amended. By who? The clerk pushed a sheet of paper toward me. There was no human signature at the bottom, only a small paw print. My fingers stopped on the page. He was here. Many years ago. What did he trade? He originally had the chance to move on to a better next life. My throat tightened. What did he say? The clerk turned to the last page. Give Mom the lives she was supposed to have. I lowered my head. My tears landed on the little paw print. Then I heard fast footsteps behind me. Not shoes. Tap, tap, tap. Getting closer. I turned. Sonny came racing down the long hallway. No white fur. No old injury. His tail was high in the air. He launched himself straight at me. The impact knocked me back 2 steps, and I wrapped my arms around him. Sonny rubbed his whole face against mine. Mom. I laughed through my tears and caught both his ears in my hands. Did you go signing things behind my back again? Number. Then whose paw print is that? His eyes slid sideways. Maybe some other yellow dog. Sonny. He immediately buried his head against my chest. Mom, why did you take so long again? I pressed my face into his neck. I am sorry. Fine. That easy. He nudged my chin with his nose. Doesn't matter. I found you. Again. Oh, Ethan. You didn't lose Mara in a car accident. You lost her the moment you decided that grief was an inconvenience, and loyalty was a burden. You could rehome. You let another woman walk into a house still haunted by love, and then made your dog the scapegoat for your own inability to move on. You didn't send Sonny away because he was aggressive. You sent him away because he remembered what you were trying to forget, and because every time he looked at you, he expected you to be the man Mara believed you were. That, darling, is not a pet problem. That is a character problem. And Lauren, she wanted a home that finally felt like hers, so she erased every trace of the woman who came before. Except she couldn't erase the living, breathing proof of love in a yellow coat. So she pushed him out too. But here's the thing about guilt. It doesn't disappear just because you make the witness disappear. It waits. It festers. It shows up in an apology email years too late, when the damage is already done, and the dog has already spent winters sleeping on a grave, because that was the only place he still belonged. But this story was never truly about the people who failed Sonny. It is about a dog who understood something most humans never do. Love is not a feeling you perform. Love is what you carry when carrying it costs you everything. Sonny didn't know how to mourn quietly. He stole lattes not because he was hungry, but because his mother used to buy them. He dragged hoodies to a headstone because she used to get cold at night. He saved the good part of the chicken for a dead woman, and then lay down beside her in the snow, still waiting. He didn't need words. He didn't need closure. He just needed to keep showing up, and that is the purest, most stubborn kind of love there is. Mara gave up her next life for him. Not for revenge. Not to make Ethan suffer. She came back because someone she loved was sleeping in a cemetery and calling her name. That is not weakness. That is clarity. She knew exactly which heart was worth crossing worlds for. So to the women listening tonight, never beg a man to remember you. Never compete with a ghost for a house that never truly belonged to you. And never let anyone make you feel foolish for loving deeply, whether it's a pet, a purpose, or the life you almost let go of. If you have to choose between being the woman who stays and the woman who walks away, choose whichever one lets you sleep at night. But once you know which soul would cross a city with a coffee cup just to sit beside your grave, hold on to it. Loyalty like that is rarer than diamonds. The woman in this story has taken back everything. And you, on the other side of the screen, are you ready to rewrite your script? May you dream well tonight. Tomorrow, be reborn from the ashes. She in the story has already reclaimed everything. Are you, on the other side of the screen, ready to rewrite your own script? Sweet dreams tonight, and tomorrow, rise from the ashes.